Hello and welcome back to Zombie Vega. Today in Satisfactory we'll be looking at the conveyor belt. So let's jump right into that. So number one is you get different types of conveyor belts as you progress through the game. Starting off with the first one you unlock, which is the conveyor belt MK1, and then going all the way up to the MK5. The difference between these are the materials that they use and the speeds. So with every MK level, you get different speeds. Starting at MK1, we've got 60 resources per minute. MK2 doubles that to 120. Conveyor MK3 more than doubles that. And then with MK3 to MK4, you go to 480. And then with MK5, isn't completely double MK4, but it's at 780. So if you look here, we've got all 5 different MK levels, starting from the slowest one, MK1, 2, 3, 4, and super fast boy, MK5 over there. And you can clearly see the difference in speed just visually. Now, as you progress through the game, it is one of the things you will need to upgrade first. And it is one of the things that might hold your production back. So let's have a look here. First off, we've got our MK1, which as you can see, pretty slow. Let's move on to MK2, much faster. MK3 is a lot faster. I can barely, and with MK4, I can't even run as fast. So on the MK3 belt, I get pushed back slowly. MK5, there's no chance. This is also a pretty fun way to get around your factory. So jumping on your conveyor belt and running, you can run pretty fast and get from one point to another. That's just a small little tip you can use. And look how far I got shot off from that. Just jumping on and running, and ended up quite a bit away. So let's look at actually building and how you utilize them. There is 2 different ways that you can build one of these conveyor belts. The first one is connecting 2 buildings. So what I'll do is I'll just select this building and I'll take that input and put it to this output. Now what you will see is that it is directional. Where you start is where it goes. So always make sure you're going from your output to your input. So if I take it from this way to that way, because of the rules of the games, it will still connect it properly. But when I'm building this on a freestanding way, this is where it becomes interesting. So it will always connect properly. So it will always, doesn't matter which way I connect it that way, it will always work in that way. If I do now go and let's just quickly put down one of these just to show the point. If I had to connect this to that, so I built the conveyor belt before building my buildings, you can see it's now going the wrong way. And I won't be able to connect these 2 up. It becomes a royal mess. So I'll just quickly break this down. Now, that is when you're connecting buildings, it will always go the correct way. But if you're building it freestanding, as you can see, it depends on your starting point to your ending point. So let's do that again just to show you. I'll put down one of those there. And we'll just do this. So if I take it from this point to that point, my starting point to my ending point, you can see the arrow shows exactly where it's going. If I do it the opposite way around, it goes in the opposite direction. Now, one thing that you will notice is that's not made very clear, but is a very helpful thing is, once you've got a new version, you don't need to build a completely new section right next to it. You can just upgrade this. So this is an MK1 version, and I've already done this part. So you can see you can connect an MK1 to an MK5. There's no limitations on connecting a slower line to a faster line or vice versa. But if I had to wanted to upgrade this, all I had to do is select my MK2 belt, and you can see there it is now selected as blue. So now I've got that side upgraded to MK2, MK2, and that's it, MK2. Now the exact opposite is also valid. You can downgrade a belt from a MK whatever to whatever you've got selected. So if I now do this, this whole belt becomes an MK1 again. So it is bidirectional. You can go up or down by just selecting the different version and going MK2, 3, 4, or 5. And if the belt is already that version, it won't be selected. So as you can see, I've got MK2 selected on this. If I select MK1, the conveyor belt is already an MK1, so it cannot do anything. So now that is upgrading it. Another tip I can give you guys on building conveyor belts is how to make a nice and straight conveyor belt line like this. So if you try to build a conveyor belt, you would have noticed that it can go, I think I already have, it will look something like this. It is very hard to get a straight conveyor belt line. So if you want to build a very nice looking factory, put down a foundation first. So if you put down a foundation and then you put down a conveyor pole, you can line up pretty nicely and get a very straight and nice setup of conveyor belts. So I've put down those 3, and if I go down, you can see I can do that exactly the same. I don't have to worry about that, and I can take them anyway. Now let's also talk about elevation. So what I'll do is I'll actually break these down. You don't need to put down poles, but if I selected, let's say, an MK1 belt, you click once and I take it to this spot, but I want to lift it. You click once and then you just lift it up. So your elevation with your mouse to the max height, unless it's too steep, I would have to be a bit further down for that. But if I place it like that, I've got my belt at that level. So you can see I've got a nice little elevation. Something else is, as you go down, I can then also, using my mouse key, rotate and get a nice little angle on this. So I can go all the way around like this, and it helps the same, it works the same way if I've got this up or down. So if I've got it on the wrong way there. So if I put it here and I'll just place it down, so click once. Now if I now take it up or down, it doesn't matter. I can change the direction and I can change the height. So that's how you can control the height of your conveyor belts. And like you can see, this is a nice, very straight little thing I can now build, and everything is lined up. So a very good tip I would give you guys, put down foundations. Even if you're doing it over a long distance where you need to connect from your mine area, which might have a node all the way down there and you have to do a few 100 meters, try and put down foundations. You can go in at a later stage and remove the foundations and remove the support poles. To give you an idea, we don't need these anymore. We don't need those anymore. We now already have a conveyor belt. So if you want to have it look very nice, gravity no longer applies to this. But as you can see, I can now just remove everything and I've got a very nice looking conveyor belt system here. And if you have to go in later, just upgrade it. Simple as that. So you don't need to worry about breaking it down and going up again, and let's just play around and jump up and down. So that is conveyor belts in a nutshell. One thing that you will also notice is that I've got this little setup here to just show that when you're building your factory and you're upgrading, make sure that you've upgraded all your conveyor belts. So I've now simulated a bottleneck. What I'll do is, this is an MK5, and what I will do is, let's just put down We've got a lot of this, a lot of that. You can see it is quickly going in and out. This is going pretty fast, and I can barely keep up. So as you can see, this is going at quite a speed, but it is not going out as fast on this way. Now in your factory, if you forget one little line like this can be a reason why you've got a bottleneck in your whole system. So if I go and let's just upgrade this to an MK5, all of a sudden now I've got parity between this and that. So if this was a factory where I've got a miner that can push out quite a bit, but because I've got one small little belt set to MK1, I now have a very slow bottleneck, and that causes a back build, and that can cause issues down the line. So when you're building and figuring out, and maybe he's struggling with an issue where you don't have all of your production seems a bit off, just double check that your small little belts in between areas is all upgraded to the same level, because you might be working on the assumption that this line is an MK5 and wondering why this thing is not getting all the resources that it needs, and it's all down to a simple belt like this. But yes, that is conveyors in a nutshell. There's a lot more that you can do. You can pretty them up, and like I said, as you go along you can upgrade them, but that's about it for conveyor belts. Thank you guys for joining me. If you like what you saw, hit that like button. If you want to see more of this, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, this has been Zombie Vega. Bye.